Welcome back, everybody. Our next panel, it's what you've been waiting for. It's made up of brokers with a rep from a small, a medium, and a large firm. And our moderator extraordinaire, Jemila Winsey, the co-owner of RE/MAX Legacy, living in RE/MAX First Class, will be our host. Good afternoon, and take it away.
Thanks, Katie. I have to say, it has been an amazing day so far, learning from amazing leaders in our industry and you know, gaining perspective on the current state of the industry and the transparent presentations on diversity in our industry. It's been phenomenal. You guys that's been tuned in so far, I have not let my phone down. It's been awesome. So I'm super excited today because I'm here to introduce the panel of brokers for our broker session today. And so first, we have Mr. Bill Edge, Managing Broker of Man Edge Properties in Houston. And then next we have Nancy Almodovar, President and CEO of Nan & Company Properties, where she specializes in the world of the luxury real estate. And in the large broker category, we have none other, one of my inspirations, Mr. Mark Woodroof, Managing Partner, Better Homes and Garden, Gary Greene. Welcome so much, panelists. Well, I'd love to start by having you all share a brief history of your experience as a broker, how long you've been a broker, the size of your brokerage, and if you are a franchise or an independent. I'll start with Nancy.
Well, hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here. So Nan & Company Properties is an indie brokerage, and we have about 100 agents. And we have our corporate office in the Galleria and opening our second office in the Heights, which we're super excited about. And again, thank you so much for having me here today.
Thank you, Nancy. That was awesome. I appreciate that. Mr. Bill.
Thank you, Jemila. I've been a broker owner for 14 years. Prior to becoming the managing broker for Man Edge Properties, I worked for 4 real estate firms, 2 builders, and handled foreclosures for 2 banks and 1 mortgage company. I currently have 4 agents who work for my company. I am an independent broker.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Bill. And I'm not sure is Mark online? Oh, yes, sir. There you go. Hi, Mark.
Hey, how are you doing? Sorry, I was trying to wait in the meeting room. And anyway,
no worries.
Hard to be late. How's everyone?
Doing great. So we're actually just introducing ourselves. So let's hear a little bit about you, how long you've been in business, the size of your brokerage, and if you're a franchisee or an indie.
Okay, great. Yeah, so over 35 years, started here in Houston. Was actually in Atlanta for 4 years, where I had some responsibilities for Atlanta and some other East Coast markets. Back in Houston, when I wasn't at my day job, I spent quite a bit of time down at HAR for several years, and great organization, of course. And then on Leap Day, February 29th of 2000, I became co-managing partner of Gary Greene Realtors, which was almost 21 years ago now. And you know, we're a company that flies the Better Homes and Gardens real estate brand. If you were on the show, you heard Sherry Chris earlier, and of course she's the brand, more or less. And then we've got nearly 1,300 agents, 20-something offices, west end of Galveston to north of Lake Conroe. 57-year-old company, very proud of that. And in addition to brokerage, we offer full consumer experience through our Gibraltar group with mortgage, title, and property and casualty insurance.
That's excellent, excellent, excellent. Thank you all so much. And just a little bit about myself, what makes me qualified. I'm not really sure why. I'm not really sure, but what makes me qualified to be in this group with you all. My name is Jemila Winsey, as I mentioned before. I'm the co-owner and broker of RE/MAX Legacy Living and RE/MAX First Class. I currently manage a little over 67, 68 agents and 2 locations in Houston. And again, just really honored to be here with everyone today. I want to start by just looking back over the 3 to 4 years pre-pandemic. You know, what was your most significant challenge? And Nancy, I'll start with you.
Okay, there, I'm unmuted. Okay, so I think one of our most significant challenges was, you know, our team is very united. We have a hashtag, it's called the NanFam, hashtag NanFam. and I guess not being able to see each other. You know, I think from all of this, what I miss the most is just encouraging my team and hugging. I just miss hugging all of them, whether it's a congratulations, it's okay, you didn't get that listing, you'll get it next time, or oh my gosh, that's so amazing. And I think it's just that our team is so close that, of course, we do daily Zoom meetings, or try to at least. We're constantly interacting with one another, but it's just been very difficult because we're not seeing each other. And again, just that warmth, that encouragement, because we are such a close team.
Wow, excellent. Mark?
So I was looking at the question, is this pre-pandemic or during the pandemic you want me
This
to
would be pre-pandemic.
Pre-pandemic. Okay.
Oh, I did.
But I just want to make sure.
Okay. Okay, Nancy, we'll come back.
No, no,
Yes,
it's fine.
please.
So anyway, pre-pandemic, things that we had as challenges were really good things. They were self-inflicted, if you want to look at them that way. We've had a lot of growth, and so we had opportunities around integration, culturally, systems, you name it, and those were always challenges, and we had a lot of great success there, but challenges nonetheless. And then I would say looking at a strategy for taking what were our disparate legacy systems that we had picked up, meaning technology systems and business systems that we had picked up over the last many years that tended to be in silos, and look for a strategy to get those all in the same ecosystem. We actually did that, and we're into the implementation to a system where we call it Impact, but where everything from our CRM to our marketing tools, training tools, all that live in the same ecosystem. And of course, we announced the rollout of all that the day that the city started shutting down, the Monday after, whatever that was, the 15th or something of March. So it immediately tested our ability to communicate beyond, in-face meetings. But those are some of the challenges that we were faced with prior.
That's great. Nancy, I know you wanted to kind of come back to that question.
Yes, and pre-pandemic, I would say not rushing. As you can tell, that's part of my personality. I rush into things. So just making sure that the timing is always right. We needed to make sure that, as I mentioned before, we're opening a second office so that we are growing, not just by, adding 100 agents at once, but because of our culture, the culture of the Nan Fam, just making sure that we do that, when the timing is right, and taking our time to really grow, I would say, with, a process, goals, and a smart way, and not rushing into it.
Awesome. I think that's really interesting, and I'm actually going to come back to that because there are a lot of brokerages that are shrinking and shutting down, and you're expanding. So that's definitely something I want to talk about. Mr. Bill, what about you? What were your biggest challenges pre-pandemic?
Well, what I'd like to say, and I'd like to say also on behalf of the Houston Independent Brokers Association, which I'm president of, and we talk a lot about this, is our most significant challenge before COVID-19 has been the change of the role of brokers and agents caused by consumers having access to internet resources at least as good as ours, sometimes better, and real estate companies started by venture capitalists that rely upon artificial intelligence and high-dollar marketing campaigns to give them a competitive advantage.
Wow, that's awesome. And I think that one of the biggest things here is, when I'm hearing that's in common, especially for our brick and mortar in the room, is, there was definitely a closeness with agents coming into the office and just being free. So now let's look back to the last 5 to 6 months, right? We've talked about the last 3 to 4 years pre-pandemic. What is now your most significant challenge? And Bill, I'll start with you as well.
COVID-19 is basically completely wrecked person-to-person prospecting for realtors, which is really a lot of the advantage of the independent realtors had and the top agents. We no longer can meet buyers and sellers through personal contact at church, sporting events, charity events, school, volunteer events, meetings, etc. And our challenge is to use social media for outreach, brand building, networking, and lead generation now.
Awesome. Mark?
Well, once we, we got past the first couple of weeks there, I think, really it was, which started with just making sure that our agents, our leadership, our employees were safe and feeling some sense of stability in what we were doing, because at that point we were all, I think, pretty afraid and unsure of the future. But then after that, what I think it was encouraging people to engage, because the reality became clear, certainly within 6-8 weeks, that the communities needed us, our clients needed us, past, present, future. They needed the advice, they needed the counsel, because they had all those same fears. But yet, as some of the panelists were talking about earlier, not to retrace all that, that there was a lot of changing needs around, housing and what they were looking for. Of course, we had lower rates. We had a lot of things going on. And so it was to encourage people not to let their own fears hold them back, because, there were, people needed them. And, that's why we're in this business, is to make a difference in the people's lives that we touch. So, we certainly jumped in with the safety protocols and digital tools, virtual tools, all that kind of stuff. But it was to mostly, get people comfortable with the fact that they needed to engage.
Absolutely, 100%. I would say that was the same experience, a similar experience we had too. We were immediately sucked into this vortex of a virtual world, and having to consolidate so many people and then still get them to take care of their family and then take care of their clients at the same time. Nancy, what would you say your experience and what is now your most significant challenge post 5 to 6 months here in the post-pandemic?
Well, as I mentioned, because I answered your question.
Yeah, in reverse.
Just getting to see my team and, encouraging one another. Again, every firm is different, but with ours, it's just the culture and being able to see our agents and motivate them, and, they motivate me. So just being able to have that personal connection and personal touch, I feel like that's been, difficult for all of us.
Yeah. And what changes would you say you've made in your brokerage because of the pandemic? And do you see yourself staying with those changes?
Well, I feel like we've all had to definitely make changes, but, here at NAN, our foundation is based on, our social media presence, on our videos. We started doing videos in 2014 when no one was really doing them, and everybody thought I was crazy for having a videographer, follow my team and myself around. So whenever, the pandemic, we already had that content to deliver to our consumers and for our team members. And I feel like a lot of the virtual tours, that's probably something that's very new for us. But we were already, we have a large presence in the social media and our YouTube channel. So just taking that and probably going to the next level, where if we were doing 1 or 2 videos a week, now we're doing 5 to 10. Yeah. And definitely, definitely the virtual tours. I feel like I'm trying to think of what else, but I feel that's been one of the biggest changes, where you can't walk a buyer through a home. Now you're doing it from your phone, or you're sending them, the 3D video of the home that they're interested in.
Right. And then that's actually one of the biggest changes I've seen in our experience with other brokerages. Mark, given that you have such a large organization, I can't imagine the resources that it would take to bring everybody into this virtual environment, as well as stay productive. What kind of changes have you guys made because of the pandemic?
Well, interestingly, even though we're a large organization, we're a pretty tight-knit group. And, in fact, we immediately, I would say, started communicating more as opposed to less, because we sensed everyone's need for communication and comfort, et cetera. So, of course, we found out you can get 1,000 people on Zoom, which we've done. And we've got another meeting scheduled actually next week. But, because in some ways, and this is really, I would echo Nan's comment about there's not, on one hand, There's no replacement for face-to-face and that level of interaction. But on the other hand, we're getting more participation in some of these Zoom meetings than we did previously. Now, I'm one of the first to say I can get zoomed out, new term, because of the number of opportunities out there every day. But notwithstanding, because of the geographic footprint we actually have had great success as we've taken all of our training and turned that into a virtual experience. I take hats off to Diane McCoy, Lindsay Ell, and our organization that, have done that. We didn't know we could do that, but we, and it's accelerated. Really what all this has done is accelerated a lot of trends that were already out there. And, we have some people that, are working at home. Some are not, but I mean, we're trying to accommodate everybody in that way. And I would say that it's really it's created a situation where we are talking with people really more today, and that's maybe this is our bad, but I mean, than we were sometimes before that. Before the advent of it.
And as Bob said earlier today during his presentation, these are tools that already existed.
Yeah.
And now we're now being forced to use these tools. And as brokers, we pay for these tools on a regular basis and just not being used. And so all these technology tools are now things that we have to use to survive in real estate. Bill, what about you? Are you what changes have you made in your brokerage because of the pandemic?
We basically got 3 different websites that we use. We have the websites change with the design and changed away from home search and showing areas and this type of things to more YouTube, more social media, more involvement with the client. We're leaving the search to HAR. HAR can have the home search from now on. We're using, in the same breath, we're using BombBomb a lot more on the emails where we would just send an email normally. We're sending BombBomb, which gives you the website basically, it's enclosed inside the website. We can put a video in there. We can do a lot more interaction with the client. All of our listings now have a video tour for Zillow, and Zillow forces you to use their app, so it's done with an Android or iPhone, which doesn't make it as good as it should be. Then we do a professional video tour, which for HAR and the whole rest of the world else, we do a video. We take a drone and always have some drone shots. We do 3D matrix tours. We do floor plans. Again, like I said, we do aerial photos. We can write on the photos where the property is located, event places that are near it, kind of emphasize the property itself. The pictures that are taken, the cameraman we uses 3 different shots. So if a house has a shadow or something in it, there's a shot of the window taken so it doesn't show in the shadow. We're really emphasizing it, as everybody's saying, the picture and bringing the house to the client is the big thing, so that they basically maybe don't even need to go to it. I mean, you could go completely walk through it. Zoom has become the communication system, which has replaced in person for us. Another big thing we've had to do is we've had to add more days to the buyer's contract for lender's appraisal. It seems that lenders are appraising now from 3 to 4 weeks. Kind of really messes the contract up, especially when you're first negotiating. You're trying to tell the other person it's going to take us a little while to close. That changes all because of this.
Yes, that's definitely one of the biggest challenges that I think we're all experiencing now. And Mark, coming back to you, let's talk about the work from home, communications, training, and then serving the consumers. How has your brokerage transitioned from bricks and mortar to a more virtual environment? What kind of adoption rates are you seeing with your agents?
Well, it's a good question, and I would say that we have people that kind of fall into several different categories. Of course, we have people, and I noticed in the chat a comment. We have people that really prefer to have more in-person interaction, yeah. And we every time that comes up, we say, well, we can do limited that and this, and but in terms of the brokerage, what we've done is we've said, hey, you know, the experience, you know, the consumer experience, much like Bill was talking about, you know, there's consumers that have different levels of fear, comfort, whatever term around, you know, whether it's a seller having people in their house or buyers viewing houses. And so we're set up to go both ways, right? I mean, because we've got, you know, it isn't going to be one size fits all. And, you know, our agents have become excellent safety protocol people, and, you know, they have their kits ready to go. And you know, even the question of mask, you know, when you sit down for the listing presentation, you know, do they wear a mask? How are we going to do all that? You know, I mean, the brokerage has accommodated all different shapes and sizes of how that can be. I think from our standpoint, you know, we've also taken most of our systems, agent systems and tools, I'd say practically all of them, if not all, are available, you know, to them virtually, you know, in a remote fashion. And so, you know, agent can run just fine out of their house if they wish. Of course, we have, you know, managers and staff in offices that are also providing those services remotely now, that, you know, that makes that totally available. And I think that at the same time, we do have people that, you know, continue to utilize the physical office facilities, but we have the spacing and safety protocols in place, you know, et cetera. But I think really we're trying to get to, you know, what does the future look like in offering services? And again, several panelists and speakers have talked about this, and I would endorse, you know, a lot of those, you know, a lot of the comments that are being made here, that, you know, the consumer is definitely liking a whole lot of the things that they're seeing. And so, you know, experiencing, and the regulatory, some of the regulatory, you know, hurdles are being cleared, not quite there yet on appraisals, as Bill was talking about, you know, in all cases. But, you know, I think what we're investing in are the tools and the AI and the things you've heard talk about. We're investing in those things so that we can get there, you know, quickly. And because I think more and more of our agents are looking for that kind of support. But at the same time, you know, we're working very hard to not lose the culture, which if you talk to most of our agents and managers and employees, they'll talk about the culture that they feel in these office communities. And, you know, that's a little harder to do, although we're, you know, having events outside and doing all that type of thing as well.
Right. And, you know, and as a broker, it really is a very big challenge, because, you know, we raise our brokerages, and we cultivate this culture and environment for our agents to come to. But what's happening today, it's really hard to pull all of that together while remaining virtual. And I think that is definitely something that is ongoing. And Nancy, you know, you have an amazing culture in your environment. I follow you on Instagram, and I'm always very impressed.
Thank you.
And so, no, you're welcome. And so I want to know your perspective when it comes to these communication training, your environment. How are your agents engaging, and you know, how are they adopting these new tools and these new changes?
So we've honestly always had these tools since day one. And we just started doing smaller groups because of our culture. But I mean, we were doing from day one Zoom meetings every day. And then we kind of just went from every day to, you know, 4 times a week, then 3 times, then 2 times, and kind of died down because the business picked up, you know, which was a blessing. So it's something that we were already used to. As crazy as it sounds, we just miss the interaction. And that's why we started the smaller groups but you know, again, we're an indie brokerage with 100 sales individuals. We don't have 1,000 or 1,500. So that's why we are able to have those groups of 10 people, you know, in a large space where we're all wearing masks and we're still seeing each other, but you know, we're still having that interaction.
Yeah,
So,
I'm sorry, Nancy, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Jemila.
No, that's absolutely true. We actually just had our very first top producer event maybe 2 weeks ago. And I started doing what I call broker agent dates, where I would just text someone and say, hey, let's go grab a drink and let's catch up.
I love
And
that.
it's just doing those little things to just reconnect, because I'm a people person too. I need connection. And so I think that as we start to live in this new normal, as we call it, we're going to find ways to start adapting there. But like you said, we're also a smaller brokerage, so it's easy to do that for us as brokers. So Bill, real quickly, from your perspective, what new business and consumer trends do you see coming out in the pandemic, coming out of the pandemic?
The new consumer trends?
Business and consumer trends.
Okay. Automation and technology are going to be implemented faster because of COVID-19. Consumers may reprioritize health, safety, and availability in their consideration of a product. COVID-19 has disrupted brand loyalty, and this could continue after the crisis ends. Homes may have different features such as smart toilets, keyless entries with the goal of minimizing the spread of germs. Consumer concerns about close living in densely packed cities may result in a shift to the suburbs. Location may change as one of the big selling points in real estate. With more people working remotely from home, a home office will become a key factor in home buyers' purchase decision. Online buying will cause a major transformation for the retail industry, shopping centers, and malls. Bankruptcies, construction costs, foreclosures, evictions, homeless people, and job changes will increase over the next 2 years as we bring COVID-19 under control and industry reinvents itself. Wow,
that's a lot to prepare for, y'all. Mark, what are your thoughts?
And I need to get started. After that list, I gotta go. I think that what I really think is that the consumer, which has been the case for my 35 years, is going to drive the bus again on where all this is going. And as practitioners, how we work doesn't really matter. It's how the consumer wants to get the service that's important. And of course, in our world, we see ourselves as counselors and advisors, relationship driven, not transactional people. So, what we believe is that the consumer is in a place here where, we've got the ongoing demographical changes, generational changes, stuff that we had panels on for years before this. That's still going on. And then, on top of that, what we have are, just the flat idea that, hey, if I'm going to be working from home, like so many industries are today, I need more space, right? And yes, I may be concerned about the density of where I am and that sort of thing. But, at the end of the day, it's still going to be about what's the utility factor or the size of the home. And I think that will drive a lot of, a lot more activity. Sadly, in terms of product to sell people, right now, that's probably a bigger challenge with respect to, I think there's more buyers that have come out of apartments and other places, that don't have homes to sell, which is creating the shortage that we could have another hour conversation about. But, the fact is builders aren't going to be able to keep up with at least the present demand levels. And so what we're going to be really challenged with here is having the product out there to sell people over the short run. Of course, the economics here in the greater Houston area are still a little wobbly with, in terms of jobs and that sort of thing, which we'll see where that goes. But, right now, I think that it's going to be inventory that's the biggest limitation. And that's what consumers are going to have to deal with is, everybody wants, I say everybody, a lot of people want the HGTV, house, and sadly, there are fewer of those maybe out there. And so we'll see what, people start taking what's there. But in that environment, it's going to be a tough choice for consumers because there's not going to be nearly as many choices as there were even a year ago.
Exactly. And I'm sure the rising price of lumber, that's not really helping on new builders either. So we have about 30 seconds to a minute to wrap up. Nancy, I really want to hear your thoughts. What new business and consumer trends do you see coming out post-pandemic?
I think, it's going to be a lot about open spaces too. That's something that I wanted to touch on without going off too much. You brought up earlier that about our Heights office. There's people that are saying that you're not going to be using offices as much. There's a lot of offices that are closing, but with us, we're opening a new office. I think it's just about adapting and being different, which is something that we are. Our office, in the Heights, for example, is not your typical office building. We don't have cubicles. We don't have it to where they're closed off. I mean, I wish I could turn the camera around and show you the office in here, but it's completely open. It's an open concept. And we make it to where people are going to be comfortable being in an open space where you can be socially distancing from one another and you can enjoy a cup of coffee or, something else that we're going to do in there is having a nap pod to make it where it's enjoyable. And I won't talk about the beer taps too, but it just making it different, making it very different and open, completely open. So I think it's just going to be really seeing, just changes. People want to be in open spaces. As mentioned before, home offices are big, but hopefully we'll make our Heights office very fun to where our team will want to come and socially distance.
Excellent. Always very innovative. Well, listen, y'all, I would love to thank you guys. That was very quick. I had a few more questions, but we're out of time. I want to thank you, Mark, Nancy, Bill, for your time today and all the valuable information. Your transparency has been extremely refreshing. Thank you, HAR. And thank you all for tuning in today. We really appreciate it and enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.